Okay,
Hey, you guys, thanks for listening in to this episode of Tips with Tea. On today, I have Miss Emily with us. Hey, Miss Emily, how you doing today?
good. Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being a guest on the show. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Sure. So I have been in my own business for over 10 years now, and I started as a business and project manager, and now I help clients with making the best decisions in their business, supporting them with strategy, and really making sure nothing falls through the cracks.
Awesome, awesome. So I know me and you had spoken before, and we were talking about energy management. So can you go into detail and tell us what energy management is?
Sure. Yeah. So when we think a lot about the way we show up in our business, a lot of times we think about it in terms of productivity and time management. But I like to talk about another element, which is your energy. So how you are managing and using the energy that you have to further your business and reach the goals that you have. And the thing about energy is that it's really hard to define. We don't necessarily know where exactly it comes from. And we also have some really interesting beliefs about energy that may or may not help us. So to me, energy management is really all about being intentional and being aware of what is fueling us and then also what is draining our energy.
Awesome. So yeah, so take us through the steps of like energy management. So like what gives us energy and what drains our energy?
So a lot of times we're looking for this one thing. And I equate it a lot to how often in business, what I see entrepreneurs doing is they're looking for that one thing that's going to change their business, whether that's a strategy, a tool, a platform. And when it comes to energy, it's the same thing. I feel like a lot of times we are looking for the one cause or we're looking for the one cure in terms of having more energy. And the secret really is that if you don't manage the energy you already have, then having more energy isn't necessarily going to make it better. So that's the first realization. Then the second is just the awareness piece. So just being aware in terms of what your energy does in a day or in a week. So one of the first things I like to do is ask to make inventory. So what are all the things that actually give you energy? And a lot of times we aren't really sure what those are unless we slow down. So making a list of all of the beliefs, the thoughts, the feelings, even the people, the places, uh, food, supplements, all of that. So, what is it that actually gives you energy? So, it could be, like, for example, podcasting for you. That could be something that really lights you up. And after you get off a call or a podcast interview, then you're all lit up and excited and you feel like you have more energy. And so, paying attention to little things like that, even on the flip side, it could be, let's say you have a client and you see their name on a calendar and you start to kind of feel like your energy is drained or you have a sense of heaviness, maybe that's not an ideal client or there's something going on there. Maybe there's a conversation that needs to be had or a boundary that needs to be set. So there's a lot of pieces when it comes to our energy, but it all starts with that awareness. So if you can go through and have that inventory of what actually fuels you or knowing what it is that drains you, then you can make decisions better and you can set yourself up differently in terms of how you might work or how you might show up for your business.
I'm glad you said that because I had to literally like set boundaries with a client on yesterday. Um, because like I've been dealing with a lot, it's tax season, we got a lot going on. And I had to pretty much tell this person, like, hey, like I got all this stuff going on, including with personal, like, and I had to set stern boundaries. And then I also too had to tell my client, like, if I cannot reach you, just send me a text message out. Me or my teammate will get back with you like within our earliest convenience. So like now I'm learning too, like if I'm running into clients that want to be difficult, to go ahead and set boundaries, or let my other teammate that I bought on to help me with taxes this year, let her or let them deal with those type of clients, so I don't have to deal with it, because those type of clients, I realize now, do drain my energy. um,
Right.
and I realized that I had to pretty much reconstruct my boundaries, because I thought I had good boundaries in place, but it was just like I was just like, what? I was like, I don't understand what's not clicking. So I had to make those boundaries known again, and
Right.
pretty much, say, okay, well, this is gonna be my strategy. Like whenever this particular client submit their tax information to me, I will pretty much have my assistant to do their taxes, and then I'm like, hey, can you handle this person for me this year? Because I'm not gonna be able to handle this person. I got too much on. So I'm glad you said that, because that's very, very important too, of knowing and realizing what is draining your energy and how to actually set those boundaries to deal with that.
Yeah, yeah, good for you. I love that example. I feel like a lot of times in business, we think that we always have to say yes.
Mhm.
And sometimes by saying yes all the time, it just doesn't serve you and it doesn't serve your client. So that's a really great example of the energy drain. Some of the other energy drains that I see is that people set goals and they aren't really clear on why they want them. So maybe they're pushing themselves really hard to meet a monetary goal, but they're not even really clear. And that can in itself just be draining when you're not really clear why you're doing what you're doing. You're not really feeling connected to what it is that you're doing in your business or your clients.
Yeah.
So that's another really important piece to look at too. Is what are your goals and do they actually make sense for you or do they have a deeper meaning?
Mhm.
So just asking why.
Yeah. Yeah, just
Yeah.
really X and Y. So, how can we fuel our energy? Like, once we start to go through the periods of being drained, like, how can we fuel our energy back?
So if you know what your energy enhances are, then you can be a little more intentional in terms of what it looks like. So for example, if you need to have a difficult conversation with a client or a team member or something like that, maybe you could pair it with something that you know enhances your energy. So if you know, for example, going on a walk and just having that space and time to think it over, or maybe it's calling someone, whatever it is that you need to do to bring your energy back up. It's not all about, let's say, having more caffeine or eating really clean. Although those things are really important, I like to look deeper.
Mhm.
So it's how could you either pair an energy enhancer with an energy drain, or how could you just do more of those things that, do bring your energy up? So maybe that's looking at your calendar and making some decisions there, or, how can you incorporate these little things that can be really small on a regular basis into your calendar? So a lot of it is just being aware and then using that information and making some different or better decisions for yourself.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I know that I have realized that I started like depriving myself of doing little things. So what I ended up doing was just like making a bucket list. Like I know people might think that's silly, but I started making a bucket list of the different things that I want to do. And I said this year I was gonna do those things and try to incorporate those things to kind of help with boosting my energy, um, and doing things that I find enjoyment or things that I never did before or things I have done, but I want to start back doing. So I'm glad you said that. And it can even be just something small. Like I was telling my cousin, like I want to do a picnic. And I was just like, because I haven't done a picnic, like a real actual picnic since I was like a little girl. Field trips, they take you on different things. So I was like, but I haven't did one like by my own. And just like those little small things, I realize they do gives you fulfillment and enjoyment and helps with your energy.
Yeah, it's really just those little things. And I know at the start of your business, it can feel like there's just so much to do to get your business off the ground. But then there needs to come a point where you start incorporating more of that life into in your business, because that really is what is going to help you enjoy. So just working all the time and thinking that you're being productive isn't ever going to get you to where you're at. It is really doing those little things that you can look forward to outside of your business. And it's really important to maintain those or go back to them if it's something that you've let go of.
Yeah, awesome. So
Yeah.
how can we use our energy to be more productive?
So really it comes down to looking at your week and your energy flow. So for example, for me, I'm not a morning person and I feel like there's a lot of rules or there's a lot of messages that we get that, wake up early in the morning and early worm gets the prize, that kind of thing. And what I realized is that that just doesn't work for me. I'm not that productive early in the morning before 10 a.m. So I gave myself permission and really looked at, okay, when do I get a lot of energy? So I get a lot of energy around this time. So between 12 and 2, and then probably again between 4 and 8. So when I'm deciding what I'm going to be doing, so whether I'm going to be doing an interview like this or whether I'm going to be having a client call, then I like to schedule those in when it makes sense for me in terms of my natural energy flow in a day. I also like to look at my week. So some of my clients love to start strong, and so they might have more scheduled at the beginning of the week. Other times they want to do, let's say, creative work before they get into working with clients. And so they'll have Monday set aside to work on their business. So it really is taking the awareness, all of the information that you've gathered from your inventory, and then what does it actually look like on a daily or weekly basis to show up for your business? And how can you incorporate what you've learned or that greater awareness to make it work for you? And that ultimately is what is going to increase your productivity. It's not necessarily about how much time. I'm sure you've had the experience where you tried to do something, it took a really long time because you're feeling tired, but then you, let's say, took a step away and came back to it, and all of a sudden it was so much easier to do and see. And that's really what it's all about. It's not about the number of hours that you put in, it's about what you implement and the results that you get. And the best way to do that is to work with your natural energy flow.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because, like, I noticed with me with podcasting, because when I first started off, I was doing podcasting all day, every day, and that was beginning to be draining. So I had to set days and times aside to do podcasting. Like, um, I learned from my years of doing podcasting that podcasting works better for me in the afternoons because in the morning time I'm still trying to wake up. I'm doing administrative work, like I'm answering emails or returning clients' phone calls. So doing podcasting in the morning is not ideal for me. However, doing podcasting in the evening is more ideal because most of the day has gone by. You done got most of your daily tasks out of the way. So okay, it's more of a downtime for me to do podcasting, so where I can really get back into enjoying it. So I'm glad that you did mention that because a lot of people days fluctuate differently by what type of times works best for them and their energy are really flowing, because like you said, if you're not a morning person, then your energy is not really going to be flowing that well to be very productive. However, it'll flow very well at night. So just knowing how your energy works is very, very important.
Mhm. That's a perfect example. I feel like, it could be easy for you to make that wrong, or people often think, I should work a 9 to 5 because that's what everyone else does.
Mhm.
But when you are your own boss, then you have that freedom and that flexibility to work when it suits you and definitely suits your energy. So that was a great example to share.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad that was a good example, but I'm glad you even said that about the 9 to 5 because I learned me before I became a full-time entrepreneur, 9 to 5 was also draining my energy too as well. Even though I can be a morning person, but just happen to be on someone else's schedule. And then, sometimes when you're going through a lot, your energy level is not gonna always be there. So you're not really gonna always feel like you can show up 100%. But your boss or your supervisor are gonna want you to show up 100% anyway. And then it's just kind of like, well, we're human. We're gonna have our off days. So and there's gonna be some days where you're gonna just gonna be like extremely tired and be like, hey, I just need a rest. And like some supervisors and bosses are not understanding of that. So I'm glad you did say that because like I said, 9 to 5 is not good for everybody. I mean, I did it for years, but I was just like, I don't know if I can ever go back to 9 to 5 because I just felt so emotionally drained.
Yeah.
Just that, especially when your energy fluctuates and you got a lot going on.
Yeah, yeah. I work with a client who actually had a chronic illness that lowered her energy. And what we did is we had a list of everything she could do when she had a low energy day and everything that she could do when she had a high energy day. So she actually felt like she was still working on her business. And that really made a difference because what you're saying is right. We don't show up with our maximum energy exactly from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, like they would want us to. It just doesn't work that way. And we don't have to try and make that fit for us as entrepreneurs when it just doesn't.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Emily, for coming on the show today and talking to us about energy management. So I'm going to share our social media handles, tell our listeners how they can get in contact with you, and how they can render your services if they would like to.
Okay, perfect. So the best way to get in contact with me is through my website, which you can find at emilykristofferson.com. And on my website, I have the Entrepreneur's Energy Audit, which is a free gift that you can sign up for and really walks you through some of what we talked about and definitely that awareness piece of tracking what is fueling you and what is draining you so that you can do more and do better with that information.
Awesome. And if you guys want to get in contact with me, feel free to do so. My number is 910-317-0396. You can shoot me an email at contact@mjfinancial.biz. You can schedule a consultation with me on my website at www mjfinancial.biz. You can find this episode on Anchor, you guys, and you can also find the video for this podcast episode on the YouTube channel for MJ Financial Management as well. And you guys make sure you go and check out Miss Emily's website. Find out more about your energy is very important. Make sure you utilize free stuff, and make sure you get in touch with her if you need her any of her services. And thank you once again, Miss Emily, for being a guest on the show. I highly appreciate you.
Thank you. I love chatting with you.
And all right, you guys, we will see you on the next episode of Tips with Tea.